Heard that news up on the phone, and in that moment started to cry. Wiped the tears from my little eye, while understanding why he had it. It's one of those artists off that group dropped a solo. And I think they all dropped projects this year, and I think I heard most of them. So I'm not doubting that any other two artists that's in that group, both of their solo projects were great. I'm pretty sure. I think I've heard small pieces of both albums. I have. But I did happen to purchase one of the group members of that group, The Lock. So that will go into my number 5 spot, and that's going to be Jadakiss album Ignatius. I think that was Ignatius, one of his homeboy that passed. Rest in peace. So he named the album after him. If I said that wrong, I apologize. Again, I'm on the Pinot, and it's kind of late, so just chilling. But yeah, so that's one of my albums right now from him. He dropped this year. Definitely, Jada never disappoints again. So yeah, so there's my number 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you everything's still simmering. Again, it's a simple process, man. So I'm just simmering everything over here. So number 4, number 4. Think so. So we'll go. Number 4 is going to be D Smoke, Black Habits. Black Habits. New artists. That's the thing about that. New artists. A new artist that really nobody heard of until that little show on TV, which was a great show. I wasn't even gonna watch it. I ended up watching it on some humbug and finding out that hey, this guy D Smoke and a lot of other artists on there were very talented. So that was cool. So I watched that and I became a fan based on the music that was on there. I immediately Googled the album. I probably watched the show late. So I immediately Googled the album. I saw an album. I purchased it and it was a pretty good album. I mean, like for a new artist, because I'm a new artist, and then he's a little older like me. So for us to be able to come in the game, make good music like that's not so considered to be pop music, but still, I think he's up for a Grammy this year or something like that. So for that to go down, for a new artist, I heard he had some plugs in the industry already, but either way, for him to come out with the music he made trumps all of that anyway, and that music was great music, man. So D Smoke is definitely on that list. I went ahead and added the vegetables to that whole tomato bath that I was talking about earlier. So the vegetables are in there. The simmering right now. I did add a little bit more spice to it. At this point, the reason why you want to add that extra little bit of spice, i.e. salt or whatever to your taste, but it won't be my soup. It won't be my JOANN'S chicken and vegetable soup if you do so, which is cool. But anyway, but the reason why you want to add some extra seasoning in here right now is because these vegetables that you put in here are a little bland. Of course they're bland. So you cut them up and they don't have any seasoning on them at all until you put them into this into what I just call the soup. Until you put them into the soup, there is no flavor. So I put a little bit of extra seasoning in there so they can take care of those vegetables that you put in there too. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and add that, and everything's simmering. I still got my chicken over here simmering too. I add a little bit of salt with that too. You don't want to put too much seasoning in this because again, the chicken will overpower the seasoning of the soup itself if you do that. But just by adding a little bit of salt so it can cook in the salt, and then after that, we're going to shred it up, which I'll show you how we do it, and put it in here, and then it's going to do the same thing the vegetables doing, which is simmering in that tomato base that I made earlier with the seasoning in it. So the chicken itself will take on that flavor of the soup too. So it's all good. So we'll let that simmer, and then I'll continue today's topic. Now today's topic again is going to be the top 10 albums I purchased this year that I thought was worth purchasing. So again, if you're on this list, to me, you're at least supporting. So keep doing what you're doing. So my next one, if I'm not off my total list right now, because I think I probably am, but I think I'm on 3. And if I'm on 3, this is where it gets a little bit I guess interesting because of the fact that these are 3 albums that really, it was older artists, if you want to call it that dropped new material. And for older artists to drop new material, it's a lot of pressure. It's definitely a lot of pressure. So I just be glad to hear those old artists make new music because, but stay true to yourself though. So, and these artists did that. They mixed in some of the new sounds, but it worked. But to me, you don't have to do that. Just keep it true. Keep it true. I'm buying your music every time. So yeah. So forgive me if I'm over my numbers, because I probably am. But I'll just name the rest of the albums on my list. So the next one is probably going to be Busta Rhymes. Yeah, Busta Rhymes dropped Extension Level 2. Extension Level 2. That's the title of the album. So he dropped that. Extension Event Level 2. So he dropped that album, and that is going to be kind of a follow. It's definitely a follow up from his first one. So if you've been a fan like I have for a long time, for him to drop the part 2 all these years later, and I have to be honest, I was a little skeptical at first. It was like, what, 20 tracks on there or something? I think it was 20 tracks. And from my past experiences, when artists have these 20-track albums, it's a couple of fillers in there that they could have just left out. And then it could have been a perfect album if you would have just took those couple of songs out. Hey, but those couple of songs might have been somebody else's perfect song, so why not? But usually it's 4 or 5. A 20-song album is 4 or 5 songs I don't like. So I was skeptical. I went ahead and bought it, and because I thought it would be jamming. Okay, but yeah, I went ahead and bought it, and yeah, I wasn't disappointed. Nice album. So Busta did his thing. He's still one of the elite lyrical people that's in the hip hop game still, but to be considered to be an old school artist and still dropping razor sharp bars the whole album. Production is nice. Yeah, definitely make the list. So yeah, keep going with the list. We have a couple of things happening over here right now. I put potatoes in here. Like I cut fresh potatoes up. Y'all know how I do with these fresh potatoes. You have to, you can, if you wait too long cooking them, they can get mushy. So I'm hoping that everything lines up. It probably will because of the fact that everything else in the soup won't take that long to cook. So it's just the potatoes. So when those cook, everything else will be cooked. So it's all good. So my chicken simmer, I'm trying to get that as tender as I can. When you're rushing for time, where I am chilling this Saturday night, real late though, getting kind of hungry though. But anyway, but the longer you boil this, the tenderer it would be, because the overall goal is to shred this up, throw it in here, let that simmer in there with that. So. But again, it's supposed to be quick, fast, and grandma's soup took 2 hours, 3 hours. On the average, mine might take about 40 minutes. Not even timing, just going off of what I think. But it's worth it, in my opinion. If not, then you can probably buy a can of it very soon at one of your local grocery stores, or at least online somewhere very soon. So look for that. All right, so yeah, I'll continue. Everything's similar here. I'll continue on with the list. Again, my number's probably off at this point, but I try to keep these videos kind of short, but this one apparently is going to be a little longer, even though the meal not taking that long. It's just a conversation. But hopefully you guys still with me and it's all good. So hey, thank you guys for being with me. So we'll continue the conversation. So yes. Yes. 1080, KC forever. Yes. As I sit on the throne alone, staring at my phone, got me